This session on reporting and alerting has got 3 speakers. Kicking off, we've got Dave Sharp from RealRider, who has been of great value to British APCO over the last 12 months and probably beyond that in helping us understand the development of new apps that can be used for public safety. And he currently, with RealRider, have got an ongoing trial with North East Ambulance on an app that they provide predominantly for motorcyclists, but not exclusively for. Dave Barnes to my right, who's the Resilient Telecoms team leader from the Cabinet Office, and Christine Townsend from Blue Light Camp. And that's the order the presentations will go. We are a bit adrift on time, so if there's room for questions, please can I ask we take them at the end so we can keep on track. Thank you very much. Dave, over to you.
Okay, firstly an apology because I've got quite a heavy cold, so I'll try and be legible as I kind of go through this. So, just going to let you see this first.
2 wheels and an engine. Now, that's more my idea of travelling long distance. If you're a social biker living in or visiting the UK, you might be interested to learn about RealRider, a social platform to connect with other bikers so you can meet up and explore the countryside together, making a record of the best routes to share with the wider community.
I got 25 lighters for my 25 folks.
Safety is a real issue for every biker, and one of the great things about this site is it acts as a crowdsourced base of knowledge for when dangers are found on the roads, such as diesel spills, potholes, or other unexpected hazards. Add free smartphone apps to the mix, and that information gets out on the road to the people who need it straight away, so riders can avoid any reported hotspots. The apps also provide speedy access to emergency services, including detailed location data in case you're out in the countryside. You can even add important medical information for first responders, making this the ideal pillion passenger.
So that's how BBC Click kind of understood what we did. They actually managed to slightly misunderstand what we did, so there's a couple of things missing. Which I'll cover kind of now. The app is just a bit of company background, I guess. Formed in 2012, we raised VC funding to kind of build the whole platform and the app. We are kind of quite embedded with emergency services and were from the beginning. So most of the design process was done in conjunction with North East Ambulance Service. So we had people, effectively practitioners, describing to us what happens when certain things occur, how they get an alert, what happens when they turn up, what the problems are, air ambulance, blah, 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 blah. So all that was done at the design stage, so we didn't presume that we would be able to work this out for ourselves. It was predominantly done in conjunction directly with our emergency service partner. As you can see there's just some kind of basic stats. If anybody wants a copy of the slides, I'll make them available through BAPCO if anybody's really that keen to reread them. So the app basically does 2 things. As you just saw there from the BBC Click clip, they went and highlighted the first route tracking kind of function as being the first one they would highlight. And it does, you turn the app on, you put it in your pocket. We use all sorts of jiggery-pokery. The app will remember everywhere that you go. All that information gets sent to a web-based platform. You can log in on a night, see where you've been, share them, highlight things, add stuff to the routes, cafes, scenic views, anywhere you took a picture, but you can also add hazards, potholes, various other things that would be, useful for another rider to know. And predominantly that's kind of, for a lot of riders, that's kind of where this starts with them. They want to just be a little bit more kind of social about their kind of hobby. The real key thing, and the reason obviously to be kind of sitting here doing this kind of thing, is that the app uses some real clever, I'm saying clever because I wrote it, but I developed it, but clever technology and algorithms to understand whether the rider's actually fallen off. So as long as the app's running, if they have an accident, we use the phone's basic sensors to understand that they've had that accident. And all that information, who they are, where they are, what bike they're on, any medical information that the app was given, that goes directly to the North East Ambulance Control Centre, where they then deal with it as per any other 999 call. So we're the only app that behave that way. All other kind of apps of this type use a third-party call centre to try and interpret what's happened to the biker, and then they act on it. But ours doesn't do that. Ours goes straight into the ambulance service system. And they've got, as a partner, they've been working on internal systems to understand what our app is generating, how to redeploy that information to the right people so that it's acted on accordingly. But in my head, that's the primary use of this, not the route tracking. The route tracking tends to be, for me, it's a secondary thing. So probably the most common question is like, how does this work? Which is, without kind of delving into the kind of physics and the maths of this. So there is a set of predictable physics and maths acting on a body that's left the bike. And the phone is trained to recognise the same set of symptoms, acceleration, deceleration, a heavy impact, a rapid change of direction. It's a process called ragdoll. So as the body starts to suffer the ragdoll effect of falling, the phone feels the same ragdoll effect. As soon as they overlap, the data from the phone overlaps with what I understand to be ragdoll on a body, we declare it an accident. And it's highly accurate. So the phone is basically being misused. The phone is not designed to do those things. So a large part of what we did was kind of understanding how to effectively get the phone to not be a phone for a few seconds and to act in a different way, to then resolve the fact that there has been an accident, to then kick into an alert mode where it will start to flood data into the emergency service system. So the challenge initially was how to get it not to be a phone. The challenge after that is how to get the accuracy level right up. But as you can see, the accuracy is pretty good by comparison to what the emergency services would tell you about crank calls that don't require an emergency service. So that can be as much as 40%. So we're well within the tolerance, if you like, of the emergency services kind of the way that emergency services work. If we do trigger an alert, actually all it really does in the first instance is generate a phone call. The emergency services will try and call the rider once the alert's gone off. So it doesn't send an ambulance in the first instance. There are 2 or 3 other safeguards that have to, the system has to fall through before it'll dispatch an ambulance. It's not possible to set it off by dropping your phone. It doesn't matter if your kids get hold of the phone and go running around in the back garden with it. The safeguards that we've had to create in a technical way to stop the phone from kind of having an adverse effect on emergency services has been the larger part of what we've been up to. Getting the phone to understand there had been some kind of accident came fairly quickly, but the safeguards took a little while to work our way through and to get acceptable tolerances and things from the emergency services that they were kind of happy with. So as a service, it's £25 a year. You can use the route tracking for free. There's lots of other things that the app does, and the platform is completely free. The only thing we actually do charge for is what we call RealSafe, which is the emergency alerting system. And as you can see by the gift card that we produce, it's £25 a year. In a commercial sense, we've done other deals with bigger organisations. Some of the motorcycle manufacturers are now giving the app out for free when a rider buys a new bike. We've got different kind of relationships with insurance companies and the IAM and various other organisations that all see road safety slightly differently. So we've had to be slightly, flexible, if you like, on the way that we deal with all those people. But intrinsically, all those people are in agreement with us that what we're doing is, correct. It meets, if you like, acceptable standards, and it's something that they kind of want to be involved with. And that will be the kind of general approach going forward. That it's more aimed at kind of organisations and that kind of aspect of it to increase road safety. Obviously, users can come to us as individuals, and of course we would deal with them like that. But it is largely more of a kind of a bigger thing, if you like, in terms of just dealing with existing motorcycle or safety groups. So there's some contact details. We actually have a different session running at 3 o'clock today, which on the board is marked as a closed session. So at 3 o'clock in room 10, if anybody wants to know a little bit more about the technicality of how it works and how all these things kind of operate, I'll be around in room 10 from 3 o'clock for about half an hour, 45 minutes. And I'm happy, there's no trade secrets here, so I'm happy to spell out, if you like, as best I can, how all these things kind of piece together to create the system and how it works. It's marked as a closed session on the board, but I don't really see it as a closed session. So if you've got technical questions, you should just roll up and grab me. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. David,